Epidemics have shaped societies in countless ways, and one area where their impact is profoundly felt is in sports. For decades, sports have been a unifying force, bringing people together across boundaries and cultures. However, when health crises like epidemics strike, they disrupt the flow of sports in numerous ways. Let's dive into how epidemics affect this global phenomenon. Historical overview of epidemics and sports disruptions. Throughout history, epidemics have forced nations to rethink public gatherings, and sports events are no exception. The Spanish flu of 1918 was one of the earliest pandemics that led to widespread disruptions in sports. Major leagues in the United States, including baseball, saw entire seasons canceled or postponed. European soccer also faced similar disruptions, as leagues were either suspended or played under stringent health protocols. This marked one of the earliest cases where public health and sports collided in a global context. Fast forward to the 21st century, and the world witnessed the SARS outbreak in 2002, which caused disruptions in Asia's sports schedules. The avian flu and H1N1 also affected several regional sports events, but nothing compared to the global turmoil caused by the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. The pandemic didn't just impact one region or one sport, it brought the entire global sports industry to a halt. Financial fallout on the sports industry. Sports are not just about entertainment, they are a multi-billion-dollar industry. When epidemics strike, the financial repercussions are immense. Ticket sales, sponsorships, broadcasting deals, and merchandise sales all take a significant hit when events are canceled or postponed. During the COVID-19 pandemic, leagues like the NBA, English Premier League, and the Olympics saw massive financial losses. The Tokyo 2020 Olympics, originally planned for that year but held in 2021, incurred a staggering $2.8 billion in additional costs due to the postponement. Many sports organizations found it difficult to stay afloat as revenue streams dried up. Professional clubs had to cut player salaries, lay off staff, and deal with massive debts. This financial strain doesn't just affect the organizations, but also trickles down to players, coaches, support staff, and entire communities dependent on sports economies. The loss of jobs, income, and stability creates a ripple effect that lasts long after the epidemic is over. Impact on athletes and their careers. For athletes, an epidemic can be devastating to their careers. Many athletes work within narrow windows of peak performance. Losing a season or two due to an epidemic might mean missing out on major career opportunities, endorsements, or even national representation. Athletes thrive on routine training schedules and competition to maintain their form. When lockdowns and quarantines were enforced during COVID-19, athletes had to adapt to training at home, which often lacked the facilities and environment they were accustomed to. The inability to participate in high-level competition not only affected their physical performance, but also their mental health. For some, the mental toll was enormous. Depression, anxiety, and uncertainty became prevalent among athletes who were used to structured, high-energy environments. Health protocols and changes in sports management. Epidemics force sports organizations to develop new protocols to ensure safety, which reshapes how sports are played and managed. During the COVID-19 pandemic, we saw the introduction of biosecure bubbles, where athletes, coaches, and support staff were isolated from the outside world. The NBA's bubble in Orlando was one of the most prominent examples, allowing the season to continue in a controlled environment. While successful, these measures were costly and challenging to maintain over long periods. Health screenings, regular testing, and isolation periods became standard procedures for all athletes, even in non-contact sports. Stadiums that usually held tens of thousands of cheering fans were either entirely empty or allowed only a small fraction of their normal capacity. This not only impacted the atmosphere of the games, but also the players, who draw energy from their fans. The role of technology in managing sports during epidemics. Technology became a lifeline for sports during epidemics, particularly in the context of fan engagement and broadcasting. With stadiums empty and events canceled, many leagues turned to live streaming, virtual fan interactions, and esports to keep the sports community engaged. The rise of esports during COVID-19 was phenomenal. Long-term changes to sports post-epidemic. The aftermath of epidemics has often led to permanent changes in the sports landscape. Health and safety protocols, once considered temporary, are sometimes adopted as long-term measures. The increased emphasis on athlete health monitoring, not just for performance, but also for disease prevention, has been one of the key takeaways from recent epidemics. The challenges faced during the pandemic have opened up conversations around athlete welfare. Conclusion: resilience of the sports world. Epidemics, though devastating, reveal the resilience of the sports world. Sports have always bounced back, adapting to new realities and overcoming challenges. While the COVID-19 pandemic is perhaps the most recent and vivid example of this, history has shown that the intersection of health and sports is an ongoing battle. The global sports community has learned valuable lessons from each epidemic, from better health protocols to innovative ways of keeping fans engaged. And while the challenges are immense, sports will continue to evolve,